Alright, very important article, relevant to the martial arts, relevant to Kung Fu, and relevant to a lot of topics that I spoke about in the past. The topic of this one is Iron Fist canceled by Netflix after 2 seasons. Let me read this article and I'm going to comment on it. It says, sorry Iron Fist fans, but the show has been canceled. Netflix decided to axe the Marvel series, Deadline reported Friday night. Marvel's Iron Fist will not return for a third season on Netflix, Marvel and Disney said in a joint statement provided by Deadline. Everyone at Marvel Television and Netflix is proud of the series and grateful for all the hard work from our incredible cast, crew, and showrunners. We're thankful to the fans who have watched these 2 seasons and for the partnership we've shared on this series. While the series on Netflix has ended, Immortal Iron Fist will live on. Even though the first season was pretty awful, many assumed that a third season would be a lock for the Finn Jones-led series. But Iron Fist is the first Marvel show to be cancelled by the streaming giant. Iron Fist got off on a bit of a rough start when a viral controversy regarding whitewashing popped up. Iron Fist co-creator Roy Thomas told Inverse that he had little patience for some of the feelings that some people have. I understand where it's coming from, cultural appropriation, my God, Thomas said back in May 2017. It's just an adventure story. Don't these people have something better to do than to worry about the fact that Iron Fist isn't Oriental or whatever word? I know Oriental isn't the right word now, either. Alright, so basically, I wanted to comment on that. So it shows that the people do care out there about these types of things, and there was a backlash about the whole whitewashing thing and the cultural appropriation of the Chinese culture. And for me, there's another article, I'm not going to read it, but basically it's one of the actresses that's Asian. She's one of the leading roles in the show, and she commented back to the creators saying Oriental is a name for a rug, not for people. So she was upset about that statement as well, and she also said that it was really hard for her to take that role because the leading role is meant to be for an Asian American, not a Caucasian. But she ended up taking the role anyway because she felt that the role showed like a strong role for an Asian woman or Asian American woman and had a good representation. But anyway, I myself have never seen the series or show or anything like that, but I remember one of my students a couple years ago mentioned it to me. He said, hey, it's cool, you should check it out. I never checked it out, but my woman got Netflix, and I saw it on Netflix, like on the screen, but I never watched it. But when I saw this article and it's talking about it getting canceled, it sparked my interest because I wanted to see why is it getting canceled. Basically, it goes back to this whole whitewashing of the Chinese culture that's a huge issue, where it's like you got Forbidden Kingdom, where Jet Li and Jackie Chan were both side starring in the film, but then the star of the film is a Caucasian kid. Okay, so you got two international martial arts kung fu stars, and they take side roles to the Caucasian kid in Forbidden Kingdom. The Japanese culture with The Last Samurai starred Tom Cruise. Okay, so Caucasian man plays the savior role, the main role, the hero role in The Last Samurai. You got a movie that just came out called The Birth of a Dragon, which is supposed to be a biopic of Bruce Lee, but it doesn't star an Asian American. It stars a Caucasian person, and there was backlash on that movie. Okay, You have a movie called The Great Wall of China that stars Matt Damon. Alright? And the list goes on and on as far as like roles that are supposed to be for Chinese people or Chinese American that are not, they're not allowed to take that role because of the cultural appropriation of what's going on. So I've never seen the series Iron Fist, and I refuse to because I know how it's gonna make me feel. It's not right. You know, it's like you got Superman, Caucasian, Batman, Caucasian, you Spider-Man, Caucasian. It's like you got Lord of the Rings, Caucasian. You know, you got Gladiator, Caucasian. It's like everywhere you go, you know, like say UFC, Caucasian. I mean, it's like everywhere you go, it's Caucasian dominated within the entertainment industry. All the music, Caucasian. You know, and like, where are the Chinese influences? And in these, you know, martial art movies, this is a part of the Asian the Asian culture. So it should be starring an Asian person or an Asian American. Even in Bruce Lee's time, he wrote the script for the show Kung Fu or whatever it was called at the time, and then they hired David Carradine over him because they said you look too Chinese. We want a Caucasian. So they whitewashed it back then. They're whitewashing it now. Nothing is changing, and it's sad. And this is an example. There's the backlash, and you see how the director or the creator, how he responded. Very insensitive. Like, oh, you know, I don't even want to hear it. Like, I'm sick of this, people saying this. Well, what do you expect? You're going into the Chinese culture and you're profiting off of it, and you don't even want to hear their voice. You don't even want to hear about how they feel about it. Like, it's not right, you know. So it goes back to the other videos I'm talking about where, like, if it's the Chinese martial arts, it needs to be taught by a Chinese person. Okay, if it's the Korean martial arts, well, it needs to be taught by the Korean person. So if it's Kung Fu, it needs to be taught by a Chinese person. If it's Taekwondo, then it's got to be taught by a Korean person. If it's karate, then it's got to be taught by a Japanese person. If it's Muay Thai, then it's got to be taught by a Thai person. If it's the Filipino martial arts, the Kali, it's got to be taught by the Filipino person. Like, it's the people of this culture that need to represent that culture. And that is what I was talking about in my videos in the past. I just wasn't expressing it in the most professional way. But now that I know, okay, this is how you say it, cultural appropriation, and this is what's going on, well, this is what we need to pay attention to, and this is what we need to fix. It's not fair, you know. And you see what happened with Black Panther. They're saying like the first, like, you know, all black cast and all that, and you see how successful that was, you know. So you got the Caucasians that are starting to realize, okay, we need to share some of these superhero roles with people that are not Caucasian, and let them shine, you know, rather than just putting a Caucasian person in a black mask and calling it Black Panther. That's not right. So don't have like a Chinese martial arts themed TV show and then you refuse to give the role to Chinese American, and then you put a white face on there and be like, okay, this is the Chinese representing the Chinese martial arts, representing the Chinese culture. No, like, that's not right. Okay, we have more than enough talented Chinese Americans out there, or Chinese people out there, to represent their own culture, and thankfully the people, the audience, they see what's going on, and they responded, they complained, and they stood up and said something, and then now the show is canceled, and it should be canceled. If they would have put a Chinese American in that role, then that show could have exploded. It could have become an ongoing show, just like the recent film Crazy Rich Asians. I've read that that is considered a successful movie, and it starred all like Asian Americans, and there needs to be more of that. Before Crazy Rich Asians, it took 25 years for them to make a movie that starred all Asian Americans. The last movie they made before that was The Joy Luck Club. So think about being somebody in my position, being a Chinese American, and you have to wait 25 years to even see one movie that's all, Asian American led. Luckily, the movie was successful, and it could open the eyes to some of these people that are in power to see that there can be money made within the Asian American community, even if they allow them to have the roles that they're supposed to have anyway. So it's like you got all these white superheroes like Batman, Robin, Superman. Help me out here. Is Superman and Spider-Man and all these white, like Caucasian superheroes. You got the Black Panther. Okay, so why not allow there to be a Chinese superhero? There needs to be. Okay, Bruce Lee passed away like 50 years ago, and we're still talking about him because there hasn't been anybody who has been able to been even allowed to even to shine. And even Bruce Lee wasn't allowed to shine until after he died. He was given the role in Enter the Dragon, and that Enter the Dragon didn't do a showing in the movies until after he died. After he died, then it came into the movies, and then he became famous in America. And then he achieved what his lifelong dream was to achieve, which is to achieve international stardom and recognition. But that didn't happen till after his death. So who is the Asian American or the Chinese American that can even achieve international recognition for his talents while living? That still has not happened. And that's something that needs to change. The blacks have fought really hard to get to where they're at. And you got something like Black Panther breaking off box office records and all that stuff. But there needs to be some of this spotlight needs to be shared with some of the Chinese Americans. And then the Japanese Americans and the Korean Americans and the Thai Americans and the Filipino Americans, they need to speak up for themselves. But I'm speaking for the Chinese community, the Chinese American community. I'm speaking up for them. But somebody like Pacquiao has gotten a lot of attention and pride for the Philippines, the Filipinos, and he's done a great job to gain more recognition for his people. And I'm doing what I can to gain more recognition for the Chinese Americans. And really, this is showing you what's going on. These are real things that are going on, and some people might not think about these things, might not recognize it, but it's important to recognize because you don't want to feed into the wrongs. This stuff is not right. being Chinese does not mean just putting on a costume and making fun of our culture, where you just put on one of those hats, and like it's Halloween or something. You put on, a kung fu uniform. Hey, I'm a master, kung fu master. No, like that comes with a long history, going through oppression and going through struggle, going through racism, going through just, you know, it's your life. Being Chinese is, you're constantly like the underdog for your whole life, and you gotta constantly work hard to try to gain equality, and it's like a never-ending battle. So this is something that's really important, and I hope people can open their eyes to see this stuff. But I put the link down low. You can read up on it yourself. You can also Google it and read up more articles. And I thank everybody for paying attention and listening, supporting the channel and everything. And thank you.